Okay, so we're going to start by cutting out the pieces. First of all, the fusible fleece is cut on the fold of the fabric, and also you're going to cut out the lining and the outer fabric both on the fold of the fabric, so then when you open them out you've got these shapes as just here. You're going to cut out a piece of interfacing and attach it to the back of the strap piece. So just find the shiny side of the interfacing, that's the glue side. Apply the shiny side to the wrong side of the strap piece. Use a hot iron to get that stuck to the back of the strap. And whilst you're at the ironing board, grab your piece of fusible fleece and attach that also to the back of the outer fabric. The glue side of the fusible fleece is the rough side, so you're going to put the rough side down on the wrong side of the outer fabric and use an iron to stick it in place. Okay, you're going to fold under the two long edges of your lining piece by 1/2 centimetre. So fold those two long edges to the wrong side of the fabric. Then turn your lining fabric face up and fold each of those long edges into each other as shown, so that you are folding each edge right sides together, creating the two right angle cutouts on either side. So do that with both edges, and then using a 1 centimetre seam allowance, sew across the two short sides. Okay, so we're now going to create the boxy shape of the bag. Pull each of those corner cutouts apart and align them so that you've got a nice straight edge, and sew that in place with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. You're going to do that for all four sides, and then as you pull each corner out, I'll show you once more with this corner. So you pull the corner out, create one flat edge, and then sew that together with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. So do that with all four corners. Okay, so when you've done all four corners, you're now going to have a lovely boxy shape for your lining of your bag, and that's your lining complete. You can pop that aside for a little moment. We're going to make the strap by folding in the two long edges of the strap into the middle, and then folding the strap in half again so that the two folded edges are now meeting. You're going to top stitch that in place just a couple of millimetres from the edge all the way down those folded edges, so that it is now one long piece. To attach the zip, we're going to place the zip right side down. We've provided an invisible zip, so the right side is the flat edge with the puller facing out. The wrong side is the side with the teeth, so make sure the teeth are facing up with the right side attached to the right side of the fabric. You're going to sew halfway between the edge of the zip and the teeth of the zip, and if you need to, just wiggle the zip out of the way, the zip pull, as you're sewing along. Okay, when you've done that, we're going to do exactly the same with the other side of the bag. So fold it up, align the raw edges with the raw edges of the other side of the zip, and clip these in place. So we've got the right side of the zip aligned with the right side of the other edge of the main bag piece. We're just going to clip those in place so that both edges, both sides of the outer bag is now being attached to the zip. Once you've clipped those all in place, we're going to sew that other side of the zip in place as you did before. Then we're going to open up the zip about halfway, as we're now going to sew the outer bag together. So we're going to squish it flat so that you've got the top of the bag pushed downwards, and it's creating those four cutout corners as we did with the lining.
Filming!
So we're going to line up those four cutout corners, and they're going to create the boxy shape of the outer bag. Now in a moment we're going to be sewing these two short edges together along the two edges using a 1 centimetre seam allowance. But before we do, we're going to grab the strap that we prepared earlier, and it's going to be aligned inside one of the edges of the bag. So we're going to pop it under as so, with the raw edges aligned with the raw edges of the side of the bag, and we're going to sandwich it in between the two layers. So the edges of each strap are going to be either side of the zip, and I'm just using clips to secure that in place. So the strap is now positioned inside the bag with the raw edges aligned to the raw edges of the edge of the bag, and now we're going to go ahead and sew those two side seams in place using a 1 centimetre seam allowance. Once we've done that, we're now going to open up those four right angle corners flat, and we're going to sew those in place as we did before with the lining, and that's going to create the boxy shape of our bag. Once you've done all four sides, you can now turn the outer bag the right way out, and look how lovely your bag is starting to look. You can see you've got your strap poking out, your zip is all nicely sewn in place, and we're going to push out the corners so that you can see we've got the boxy shape of the outer of our bag. We just need to attach the lining. Okay, so just grab your lining. You're going to pop that inside the bag so that the wrong sides are against each other. The wrong side of the outer bag with the wrong side of the lining are now touching. You're going to position this in place. It does take a little bit of wiggling about, pushing out corners, and you're going to be aligning. So as you can see here, I'm just neatening up the edges of my outer bag and the lining, and I'm going to be aligning the edge of my lining piece along the edge of the zip. So the lining piece is actually covering those raw edges of the zip. So I'm clipping those in place. And we're going to be doing a little bit of hand sewing here. So whether you like hand sewing or not, it does just need a little bit of hand sewing to keep this in place. Okay, so just take some time doing this section. It's just aligning the long edge or the opening of the lining with the opening of the outer bag, aligning that folded edge of the lining with the zip. So you're just going to be hiding the raw edges of your zip. Spend some time clipping it in place or pinning it in place and making sure it's nice and neat. You can just do a running stitch to sew this in place. You're going to be sewing along each of those long edges. So neatly sewing from one edge of the zip all the way along to the other edge of the zip so that you're sewing those in place. So it's just two long edges. Once you have finished both of those, you have completed your Boxy Wash bag. And well done, it's really cute.